Hi everyone, I have prepared a really quick video to help you sort out your ring situation to be able to craft the BIS rings that will help you on Wednesday and the coming days when you are pushing keys and starting to raid. So you can craft the Band of New Beginnings. Normally you could craft it for an item level of 306. You can always customize your secondary stats to be BIS, and that ring will always come with a socket. So by empowering it with a training matrix 4, you can see in the tooltip that it's going to craft with a quality of 372 to 382. So ideally you would craft this not as a public order, but you would craft it as a guild order to make sure that whoever is going to craft it for you has enough skill to craft it to 382. But of course 372 is also possible. You could always recraft later on, and 372 would be at least viable for having your correct stats instead of having some completely random stats for that you can't really make use of. And you get a socket, and you could also fully enchant the ring with a good enchanting, which you shouldn't be doing with a ring that doesn't really have the stats that you want. But as I said, you need Titan Training Matrix 4, which is dropping from M0. So if you've gotten lucky and gotten the Titan Training Matrix 4 already, I suggest you craft a 382 ring, ideally, with your optimal stats, a socket, and then you can enchant it with another optimal enchant. To already don't worry anymore about at least one ring slot. So if you are scaling very well with haste and verse, you should definitely consider crafting the Signet of Titanic Insights or your Spark of Ingenuity ring, because there is no real haste verse ring in the loot table, not in the raid and not in the available M+ dungeons. There is just one ring with haste verse with a lot of verse and not as much haste. So if you need haste verse, already crafting your ring can actually be beneficial, because just as the ring before, this one will have the perfect stats because you can customize the secondary stats with your missives. You currently cannot infuse it with power, which makes it scale to 418 at the max. These will be available later on with M+ releasing, and you can always recraft, so you're not losing the Spark of Ingenuity. And on top of that, you will get an embellishment. And all the embellishments are very neat. There is some heal stuff. There is some potion stuff. There is also some well-fed buff. And this increases the duration of well-fed from Dragon Isles meals by 100%. And they now persist through death. So when you are grinding for M+, for example, you are going to die once in a while. You are not going to lose your food buff at all. So you might even consider going with the big feast, which would make it last 2 hours and persist through death, which might be actually pretty good if you are pushing high keys early on Wednesday. And the last one just gives you mastery while you're above 90% health. So to quickly recap, definitely craft your 382 ring that is not using a Spark of Ingenuity if you have the Titan Training Matrix 4, because you will have perfect secondary stats, a socket, and you will be able to hold that ring for quite a long time, therefore being able to enchant it correctly and spend a little bit more gold on the enchant. Also consider checking the loot table if the loot table for raid and M+ has a ring that you need. If that is not the case, consider crafting the Spark of Ingenuity ring, because it will have perfect stats for you. It will be able to be recrafted to 418 later on after Mythic Plus releases. It will grant you the ability to have a persistent, well-fed buff that lasts twice as long for the next couple of weeks. And you will be able, of course, to enchant it with the correct and pretty expensive enchant right away.